You know what would even line up with the COD League is if we get the map pack next year, because the COD League, you have to think they're going to be playing this game for 2 years. Year one, they're playing all of the base maps, and then year two, to switch it up so they're not playing the same for 2 years, they drop this big map pack, and then they're playing a bunch of remastered maps for the COD League, which would start late next year.
That would be super hype to watch.
That would draw in a lot of hype for the
actually.
COD League too, yeah. Because people would care
that's a
about
good
that.
point.
Imagine the best Call of Duty maps of all time remastered being played in a competitive setting,
league.
all of them.
That would be fucking
you know,
cool. That's actually
grind,
super hype.
crash, all of the big maps.
Activision devs do not play their own game. It's not your dad. Your dad doesn't support you.
You should know. You worked at a coffee shop, you stupid bitch.
My name is Casey, and absolutely not fucking Tanner, because my parents don't hate me that much.
Hey, did they have just 8 patches lined up, but they just didn't release them because they were on break? No, you moron kids.
Then we'll, of course, get into it. Change your fucking name and get scammed. He's feeling under the weather.
I probably won't say another word until Stay Humble, so have a good pod, Raz. I'll
Got
be
it.
here listening.
Got it. We are live! Welcome, boys and girls, to the Dropshot of Call of Duty podcast, episode number 270. We're back. My name's Casey, also known as Razinon. I am joined, as I sometimes am, by Tanner. Tanner, how's it going?
Yeah, we're getting already to that point where we're getting close to 300 eps.
300, yeah.
It's the first
This
time I've thought
is
about it.
not
Once I hit
Sparta,
that
but
70, it's not too far away, man.
Not too far, yeah. We need 10% more of that goal. So welcome to the show. Today, we're doing an episode on Call of Duty. If you are a new frog, we have timestamps. You can skip to whatever you want. And this is going to be an episode. So, a couple things to talk about. Once again, not much. Didn't really get any substantial info on anything related to MW2 or Warzone 2 or DMZ. We had been holding out hopes that in the time approaching release, we'd be getting more info than we've gotten thus far. I'm beginning to think we're not. I think we're going to probably have another slow week next week. And then we're going to get the campaign, and then there's going to be a lot to talk about and a lot to sink our teeth into. But we still got a couple things. So before that, a couple announcements. And before that, welcome to our new patrons. We got some new people that went to patreon.com/thedropshot and signed up for bonus episodes, early access episodes, and ad-free episodes. Welcome to our new gold patron, Brom S. Change it. Our new platinum patrons. This guy's name is Change It. You're the second person to do that, by the way. So, you got beat to that shtick, but cute. Gabriel B.
Gabe signed up, huh?
Shout out to Gabe. This is not the shit Gabe that we know. This is a better Gabe for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
So welcome, buddy. Welcome to our new Damascus patron, Todd S. You must be old. Your name is Todd. I've never met a Todd in real life. Not once. Not one time. Anyway, Todd, welcome, buddy. And also, welcome to YouTube celebrity, Optimizer Extraordinaire. Will not let your computer run at 100 degrees Celsius, your GPU.
Oh, you don't think?
No,
Is that
I don't
not what
think
optimizers are supposed to do to PCs, man?
I don't think that would be optimal. No,
yeah.
I don't think that would be okay. I mean, custom fan curve, just day one shit, but optimized, by the way. Well, so unlike that, welcome to our new gold patron, Freezy, friend of the pod, annual gold patron, by the way. We fucking sucked him in, dude. Freethy, welcome, buddy. And all of you patrons, welcome. And thank you very much. Patreon.com/thedropshot. We got bonus eps. We got early access on the regular eps and ad-free as well on the regular eps. So if you're tired of the ads, if you want more episodes, check it out. Best way to support the show, patreon.com/thedropshot. Now, speaking of the Patreon, we had an episode go live this morning for all of our gold patrons. And as we talked about in the intro of that episode, we had hoped we would be getting some intel drops or at least leaks or some new info on MW2 or one of the games coming up to do an episode on. Since it's now not looking like we're going to, or it's far less likely, I would say, we decided to take this time, this calm before the storm, to kind of do a different sort of episode. We talked for like 2 hours, actually. It was a really fun episode. It was kind of like a behind the scenes episode, except this was available to all patrons. So we talked for like an hour about Call of Duty in general to start with. I was considering playing some more MW 2019 to kind of get back in the FPS swing of things. Talking about maybe playing BO4. We took a trip down memory lane, as it were, talking about BO4. And we didn't know what we had until it was gone. Although, to be fair to Tanner, I was far more negative about BO4 at the time than he was.
Yeah. Oh, you're the classic dumb COD kid, yeah. Oh, the next game's going to be a lot better. I
didn't say that, actually. I don't think I said that. I mean, it's been years, but I don't think I said it's going to be a lot better.
Well,
I just was very excited there were going to be no operator abilities. I thought that was going to solve a lot of my issues, but I did not know the depths to which Call of Duty could drag its player base until I played Modern Warfare 2019, Game of the Year edition, and those depths are low indeed. But you guys all know my thoughts on that if you've listened to this podcast for any amount of time. So then after that, we were talking about, some other games we're playing, things we're doing in general as we wait for MW2 to come out. And we did this episode because not much else to really talk about related to Call of Duty as it stands that we would be interested in. And we don't want to talk about things we're not interested in because those episodes are just not going to be good. And you guys probably wouldn't have been interested in them either. So once MW2 comes out, every episode on the Patreon here, we're going to have so much Call of Duty shit to talk about. It's going to be like overwhelming almost. There's going to be a lot.
Yeah, it's always overwhelming actually.
So while we still have the chance now, or had the chance, we decided we'll do a kind of a miscellaneous-y type of bonus ep, which we did, and it went out this morning. And we did, again, talk about Call of Duty quite a bit in it, but there was some off-topic, as it were, things as well. How'd you enjoy that little thing, that little ep thing?
Yeah, I thought it was good. Like you said, it's better, I think, from a listener perspective, too, if we talk about things that are more interesting and that we want to talk about. It's like, we could have played Warzone for a few hours, done an episode about that, but wouldn't have been very positive. I don't know. I feel like it's better if we just talk about things that, kind of we've been doing, we've been enjoying, because we're not the only ones here. There are a lot of people that have not been playing COD recently and are dabbling in other games until we get MW2 and Warzone 2. So I think that's also why, we kind of talked about that. Games we've been playing that we've gone back to, games we've considered playing or installed and things like that. And, we ended up talking quite a bit about BO4, actually. So,
yeah,
I thought it was an interesting episode. We've already gotten some pretty good feedback on it, so that's good to see.
Yeah, so if you want to listen to that, get some insight into what we're doing, patreon.com/thedropshot. That's available to all patrons. And if you've already listened to that episode, I'll remind everyone. We do behind-the-scenes episodes every month for our Damascus patrons that are fairly similar to that episode. So if you are a patron, you enjoyed that one, upgrade. Duh. So anyway. This Saturday, we got an idea in Discord from someone. I want to say maybe it was Walt? I don't know who it was.
I don't know. There have been a lot of people asking if we were going to do it.
I only saw the one recently, or remember that one anyway. But anyway, someone had the idea, or asked us, are you guys going to do a year in review episode for Warzone? And yes, we will. We're going to be doing that this Saturday. So this Saturday is going to be a Warzone year in review. This is roughly what it's going to be. We are going to talk about regular BR / Rebirth Island / Fortune's Keep in the timeline of Vanguard releasing to now, basically. That's going to be the episode. And we're going to look at a year in review, roughly a year in review of the state of Warzone in that time. And I think I already mentioned this, but it's going to be a roller coaster. Because that year, this last year for Warzone was the highest highs and the lowest lows Warzone's ever seen, I think. I don't think Verdansk or at any other time there was ever so much improvement and then so much downfall in so little time. At least from my perspective. There was never a time where they're like, oh, Verdansk Season 1 was awesome. Verdansk Season 2, the game was ruined. Verdansk Season 3, the game was redeemed. Like, it was actually just a fucking insane year as far as I'm concerned, and I would really like to do, and therefore we're going to do, an autopsy on Warzone. So we're going to be talking a lot about Caldera, the map. I mean, we're going to kind of talk about the map. Obviously, that's relevant. That's going to come up, but it's not going to be like the map Caldera a year in review. It's going to be more just the game Warzone, all of its little playlists, a year in review. And to do a post-mortem on what the fuck happened from our perspective, what was good, what was bad, etc. And that's going to be really fun. And I think maybe even looking at what transpired could be informative for what we might see in a year or two with Warzone 2. Maybe not. That might be a lot of extrapolation. We're going to put our thoughts to digital paper, as it were, and we'll flesh that out more on Saturday. But that's going to be a very good episode. It's going to be a very fun episode. I'm excited to get into it. So that will be this Saturday, a year in review of Warzone. And let me also add, as an addendum, we will not be talking about Vanguard at all. I don't care. Tanner doesn't care. None of you listening care. Maybe one of you does. Sorry, but we're not doing that. So we're not doing a year in review of Vanguard, the game. It's going to be Warzone focused because that's what we played. So
yeah. Vanguard summed up as the launch was good. 7 days later, the bugs were still there, and then 6 months later, the bugs were still there and more bugs, and that's the Vanguard year in review. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, so there's your 2-for-1 episode on Vanguard right now.
Go.
So yeah. Anyway, so that is that. Last announcement. Very excited about this one. We've started setting up the YouTube live stream venture. We are going to be doing our first YouTube live stream on Saturday, the 29th. Hold on. I need to write something down. Okay. So yeah, we're going to start trying to live stream on YouTube. We are going to do our first YouTube live stream Saturday the 29th for that Saturday episode. The topic of that episode is going to, of course, be Modern Warfare 2 First Impressions. That's going to be a great episode. I'm extremely excited about that. And we are going to be doing it on YouTube. That's going to be our first YouTube live stream in proper. So if you're not already subbed to the YouTube, go do that because we are going to be live there. Also, if you normally watch the podcast on the dropshot.com/live right now and on the 29th, that will not show our YouTube live stream. So make sure, and we'll remind you guys of this, but make sure you go directly to our YouTube channel if you wanted to be there live. That's going to be a really fun episode. I'm extremely excited about that one. Obviously, I'm extremely excited to play the game. Doing a first impressions ep is going to be great. It's going to be a lot of fun. We won't have played the game too much by then, and we might even change the time we do that episode, in fact, because the game's going to come out 9 p.m. on Friday the 28th. We're going to play for a couple
comes out
hours.
No. Comes out 9 p.m. on Thursday. So we have Thursday night, we have all of Friday, and we have Saturday morning. It launches the 28th at midnight, so for us it's 9 p.m. on the 27th.
Correct. Okay, never mind. Yeah.
So it'll probably still be at noon.
Yeah, we'll probably still do it at noon. Yeah, you're right. So yeah, but nonetheless, that's going to be a really fun stream. It's going to be, and we're going to try it on YouTube. We're going to see how it goes. But yeah, the dropshot.com/live won't work for YouTube right now. If we eventually migrate to YouTube permanently, we will fix the dropshot.com/live to make that work. We're kind of talking to our website devs about that. But I'm excited for this. Twitch is a dog shit website. Twitch is also probably going to be bankrupt soon anyway, so this is going to be as good a time as any to get our toes wet, dip our toes, get our feet wet. That's the expression, right? Which we'll get into a little bit. Smile. But yeah, sub to the YouTube, and we'll remind you guys more of this, but I'm super excited. One other thing also, we'll probably do another little test YouTube live stream before the Saturday the 29th, if you wanted to be there for that. We're just going to go live for like an hour and chat, and we don't even have a time scheduled, but
we just want to make sure everything works, basically.
Exactly. We're just going to test, make sure everything works. So if you wanted to kind of help us out with that, then have noties on so that for our first ever live stream, you can be there. But that's going to be a lot of fun. So sub to the YouTube. YouTube.com/the Dropshot Podcast. All right, that's it. Other than that, if you're listening for the jingle, here it is. Let's get into it. Today, an episode on Call of Duty. As I said at the outset, not too much to go over today, but there are a couple things. First, we did get a Warzone patch on the 6th of October. This was about a week ago now, but it wasn't a big patch, but we'll go over it. There were a couple of bug fixes as well as a few weapon changes. So the UGM-8, which they put in the assault rifle category, which it isn't, by the way. So they've given up, which is fine. Minimum damage 21 down from 22. That's a big deal for an LMG. I don't know how big of a deal it is. I don't know what the Warzone meta is. Don't play. Don't wanna. Give me MW2. So anyway, that happened. The Leona 57 was nerfed a lot, and the Gorenko had its velocity decreased by about 8%, 9%. So that's probably still pretty fucking good. And then the Armaguerra was nerfed, kind of. Minimum damage was reduced, but that doesn't matter too much for an SMG. And that's kind of it. So, not much there.
Not much at all.
From the looks of it, the biggest thing here is the UGM nerf. But I don't even know if that was like meta prior to this. And I don't know if that makes it not meta now. I have no idea. I am not up to snuff on the Warzone meta because I'm done. But yeah, that's it. It was a pretty small patch, and that's all we've gotten in the past week. So
I wonder what's going on with Halloween. It seems like we're not getting an event this year. I had seen rumors about that on Twitter. I don't remember who had said it, but I remember reading it seems like they're not doing any sort of big like Halloween event this year, which makes sense because that's probably a lot of work that goes into the game months ahead of time, and knowing that MW2 will already be out, and then Warzone 2 will be following that quickly. kind of don't think Raven's going to put a bunch of time in making a mode like that unless it's a copy paste from the last time they did it or something.
That is a good question.
And the fact that we're 2 weeks out and haven't had anything leaked, I really don't think we're getting anything.
I don't either. And if we are, it's not going to be that big of a deal, which I'm fine with. The timing would be super awkward for them to do anything. You know?
Yep.
MW2 releases like 3 days before Halloween. I mean, yeah. I'm fine with that. I didn't even think about that, but yeah, I don't know. Doesn't matter much to me, but
no, I don't give a shit either. I wouldn't play it, but I know I saw
exactly.
people talking about it.
Exactly, yeah. So other than that, that's it for patch notes. Now on to news and upcoming changes. We got a couple things to talk about here. What do we got, Tanner?
Okay, so this first one here just came out, so I have not read this at all. I haven't even looked over it. This was just dropped when we were live, though. A new blog post from Call of Duty Ricochet anti-cheat progress report for MW2, Warzone 2.0, and open beta recap. So start off by saying Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 open beta. Ricochet has been examining data and trends focused on cheating and hacking attempts to ensure readiness for day one of MW2 when Ricochet will be fully deployed. So it will be live day one of Modern Warfare 2 when the game launches. Throughout the beta, a limited level of Ricochet protections were active, but the full scope of our security infrastructure, such as various detection system and in-game mitigations, won't go live until the game launches. Here we'd like to outline our goals for the upcoming launch. For the first time, Ricochet Anti-Cheat and its PC kernel level driver will launch day and date with a new title in Call of Duty Universe. Upcoming launch combines a year of learnings and updates with new features and mitigation to protect our game. Blah, blah. Okay, beginning at launch with Modern Warfare 2 and soon followed with Warzone 2 on November 16th, Ricochet will operate on a new unified security platform. Okay, this new system provides Team Ricochet more protections such as better detection capabilities, additional access to develop and deploy new mitigation techniques, and expanded freedom to update our security more frequently than ever before. That's interesting. Expanded freedom. What was keeping them from updating as frequently as before? I wonder what the reasoning is for that.
I don't know what a new unified security platform means.
Same. No fucking idea.
I don't know what that means.
Not sure.
I will say this, though. This is actually plausible because like engine owning, for example, I think it was engine owning, probably, is already selling pre-orders of MW2 cheats, like right now. And we've seen clips, maybe you guys have seen them as well. I don't know if we talked about this, but of people like walling and cheating in the beta, the MW2 beta. So it's very possible that they on purpose did not throw all their weight at the beta in terms of their anti-cheat, so that the cheat companies, developers, didn't know all of the anti-cheat measures that would be deployed, so that they can't code around them in the time between the beta and launch. So they want to keep that like element of surprise, so that when the game launches, the people who were cheating in the beta are no longer able to, because instead of banning those people and showing their hand, as it were, they just collected the data on the cheaters and what they were doing, developed mitigation techniques to stop those cheats that were being used in the beta, and then they're going to go live with those on launch.
100%.
That's totally possible.
I think that is what they did.
Yeah, and it would make sense. The degree to which that's going to be effective and how long that'll last, who knows? But that whole paragraph, beginning at launch, we're operating on a new unified security platform. I don't know what that means at all. I just have no idea. Is it a disunified security platform right now? I don't. Like, I just don't. Those are just words that
maybe they just
understand.
mean because all CODs going forward are like made through this, are on the same engine for now, like one unified engine. So maybe it's just their kind of way of saying, trying to make something sound good, almost like, oh, like it's all unified now, blah blah. I don't know.
Yeah. So whatever. This isn't a bad thing to say. I just am unclear on what it means, but hopefully it works well.
Yeah. And for the start of the beta, Ricochet, nothing was active because people were cheating the hell out of like the first couple days, I think. And then I remember them saying like, okay, Ricochet's going live this date. It hasn't been live because everyone was like, wow, anti-cheat's not working. Well, it's because it literally wasn't turned on. So
yeah.
Anyways, so in-game mitigations. Well, they are not enabled for the beta. All existing mitigation systems will be active at launch for Warzone and MW, including cloaking, disarm, damage, shield, and more, which we've seen plenty of times in Warzone. I've never seen it, but I've seen videos of, all the top streamers coming across players that have a damage clamp, of course.
Must be nice.
10 times a day. I've never gotten it once, but there's some Activision dev watching Tim the Tatman all day and doing that shit live for him. So anyways, next, serverless client.
That's that guy's job title.
Literally, yeah.
Tim's anti-cheat dev. He's on salary to do that.
Partner, Team Ricochet, in collaboration with studio partners across iDub, Raven, Demonware, Sledgehammer, blah, blah, are transforming how the game client and server communicates, migrating certain processes to be powered on the server-side addition to the client. What this means is Ricochet can retain authority over more gameplay systems, providing even more protection for the game. Okay, cool. Again, don't know what that means, but sounds good, so cool.
Well, okay, so this is something you and I have speculated on, is that if it's truly kernel level, let me think about this. So there are some processes that were client side only, meaning the player. So client side means the player, and then server side means it's taking place in the game lobby. So a good example of how to differentiate these two is if you throw a smoke grenade and then smoke shows up on the screen. The smoke can be server side, meaning every single person in the lobby sees the smoke because the server's like generating the smoke and then the client is seeing it. Or the smoke could be client side, meaning the client generates the smoke and not necessarily everyone on the server sees the smoke because it's happening like client side. It's not the best explanation, but if they're it sounds like what they're saying is some things were happening exclusively client side and we're moving those to server side. Here's a good example. If you log into Overwatch and you change your reticle color to pink, okay, that setting could be client side, meaning if you log into your account on a different computer, your reticle will be white again and you'll have to change it to pink. Or it could be server side, meaning once you change your reticle to pink on your home computer and then you go to a different computer and log in, the reticle is still pink because the pink reticle setting is saved server side. It's on their end that setting is saved. It's not on your end that the setting is saved. That's a better explanation of server side versus client side. How that relates to cheats, I am unclear. Because I don't know exactly what that could mean. But the more things that they get server side, I would imagine the better, because they can look at what's happening server side with complete authority because it's their server. So if a cheat requires, I don't know, it's hard to explain what I'm trying to say, but I think if they move more things server side, that's probably good in terms of anti-cheat, because they can see what's happening server side completely, and then ostensibly they can also enforce, bans and detect cheats more if more things are happening server side. So if aimbotting, for example, because aiming your reticle is probably client side, but if they move some of how aiming works to the server, then when you cheat an aimbot, you're doing something that the server side, on the server side maybe, and then the server is like, oh, this is fucked, and it can ban you because it sees it easier. But I don't know exactly how that would work. And that could be bad too, because if aiming happens server side, then maybe we're getting more input lag or something. I don't know. It's hard for me to put this into words, but I think if things go server side, that could be good for anti-cheat.
Yeah.
I don't know, though. Does any of that make sense,
Yeah,
Tanner? Am I just wiling?
I think you're just speculating heavily, yeah. We have zero idea what this means. I don't even have a guess as to what this means. It's
Okay.
probably nothing basic like what we're thinking, though, like aiming or anything. It's absolutely things we have no idea how they work,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
But,
for sure.
Yeah, so I don't know. But next up kernel level driver updates. So Ricochet is developing updates to its PC kernel level driver for the launch of MW. These updates will help facilitate some of the processes outlined above, as well as provide better prevention systems against cheaters. The driver will provide more information to our security team in the event of cheaters getting into the game, feeding data to our detection and mitigation systems. So, yeah, that's pretty much already how it worked. Just kind of explaining it again.
Yeah, I'm not sure what any of that means. Yeah.
So, okay, here's the interesting part. This has been making its rounds, which I actually already linked an article to talk about regarding this. But they talk about it here. So, SMS security policy. A text-enabled mobile phone number will be required to play Modern Warfare 2 on PC. Existing Warzone players that have previously verified their account will not be required to provide any additional information to access MW2 and Warzone 2. This policy on Battle.net is the same requirement as Warzone on PC, which was implemented in May of 2020. A mobile phone number must be linked to your Steam account to play Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 on that platform.
Oh, interesting.
It's critical to our anti-cheat enforcement efforts, tackling illicit account creation at source. This helps our security team maintain account and game security, blah, blah. In August of this year, we updated the policy for new players, requiring a text-enabled mobile phone number to play the game. Prior to this change, new accounts could access it without an SMS security check. So basically, long story short,
text-enabled is interesting.
what they're doing now is you have to have an actual phone data plan. In certain countries, I don't know how it's going to work, but in certain countries, you have to have an actual paid working phone plan. Whereas before, this was the thing. We had talked about this before this came out. We were the first ones to mention this. We were given this information from, and they told us, hey, heads up, they're trying a new anti-cheat measure coming up soon. They're going to require everyone to link a phone number. Like, oh shit, this could actually help with cheaters. Wrong. And ended up not helping because there was no security check for it. You basically had to enter some sort of a phone number, and you
could just like
got
make
around
a Google
it.
phone number.
Yep.
Yeah,
So there are plenty of apps out there where you can get random phone numbers and text from them. So people were doing those. I remember like Engine Owning and other places were selling. It was literally like 25 to 50 phone numbers for like $1. So every time your account got banned, whatever, no big deal. I have another phone number to set up an account real quick. So the difference this year is that it's an actual security check, and it somehow supposedly is verified through having a data plan. So we'll see how that works. I find it hard to believe. I still find it hard to believe that anti-cheat softwares can't easily get around this. I mean, if you can hack into a game with a kernel level anti-cheat and remain undetected for a period of time cheating on the game, there is and hardware ID spoofers to get around a hardware ID ban. There will absolutely be a way around this. Whether it's harder than previously, there will 100%, I'm absolutely certain, to be a way to get around this easily. That will come out soon. There will.
Because think about this. Because to me, what this sounds like is they're going to be like, okay, you make an account, give us a phone number. If you want to play the game before you can, go look at that phone number. We texted you a 6-digit code, and you need to type in that code here. I don't know how you spoof that.
I don't know how you spoof a hardware ID thing either, but they do it. They always find a way.
Well, okay, if that's true, then two-factor authentication just sucks, but that's like the best thing you can do for security. So,
yeah, but people still get their two-factor hacked, so.
Well, yeah, of course.
I mean,
if you're getting targeted hacked, you're going to get hacked. There's no way around it, ultimately. Yeah.
I just don't think. This may help with some issues, but I'm absolutely certain there will be a way to get around this. Because, I mean, a simple thing like this could literally end cheating in video games, period. And if it was that easy to do, this would have been done a long time ago. So there will be some way around it that they figure out.
Yeah. I don't know how easy it is to do, but it does seem pretty easy, you're right. So why wouldn't they have done it sooner if it's going to be that effective? I think it would. I think it'll definitely help. I like that they're trying shit. And I think there will be ways around it. Yeah. Besides like having a cell phone, probably. people are going to figure out ways to get around it, I would imagine. I actually don't know what they're going to be, though. Because you're going to have, if it's going to literally text you a number and you have to input that number, I don't know. I'm not sure how you get around that. That seems like an actually more difficult problem than injecting an aimbot into the game, or like walling. Like walling seems pretty easy ultimately, because the server knows where everyone is. So all you have to do as a developer is make a cheat that just gives you that information. But the information's like right there. That seems fairly simple. Since every game has cheaters, it's obviously fairly simple. But to get around this without actually spoofing a number that can also receive text messages, I don't even know. You would have to hack like, I don't know. I don't know how it would work. It's a different type of hacking than an aimbot or a wall hack. Like a way different type of hacking. I don't know if it would be easy or not, but it seems like it could be fairly effective. I don't know though. I have no idea. I'm not a hacker. Yeah. But I'm a lot more optimistic than you are about this. I think this is a pretty cool idea.
Well, I don't think the cheating is going to be... I mean, the cheating even in Warzone and multiplayer now isn't that bad, so I'm not worried about the game being overran with cheaters at all. I just feel like we're still going to end up having the same amount of cheater here and there as we do right now, and that this won't make that big of a deal. Because the anti-cheat, as it stands, works a lot better now than it did when it launched. That is absolutely certain, and that's what we had been saying the whole time. Didn't work very well on launch. There were spin botters in every lobby and flying cars still with Ricochet, but that is all gone now. So they've I think solved most of those issues as it is. So
yeah, true.
The other thing that I saw people complaining about is, I guess Blizzard or one of them was doing this with a free-to-play game, and then people were molding. Because people in like fucking third world countries, I guess, that can afford a PC to play free-to-play video games were molding. They were like, oh, cool, now this is a free-to-play game, but I have to have a $100 a month phone plan just to play it. It's like, oh, do you not have a phone already? You have a gaming PC, though? It's just, I'm like, that doesn't even make any sense. But I can get why they couldn't do something like that for that reason, you know?
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
From like a legal perspective, from corporate, it's like, it's hard to say, oh, this game's free to play, but we are making you have this. You know, you are going to have a working phone plan. But it's stupid. It's like, those people have phones.
It wouldn't be illegal.
Oh, I'm not saying it would be illegal, but I'm saying from a legal standpoint, I feel like it would come off very wrong for like a corporation to do something like that in a free-to-play game. That's like, oh yeah, the game's free, but you have to have a cell phone number. I feel like they could get in trouble somehow for that from some person, even though it's like all of these people have phones, of course.
Well, yeah. I know you're not making that argument, but if anyone is, those people are fucking retarded. Because like,
yeah, and that was all over Twitter, I guess. Because isn't Overwatch free? Yeah, so this was about Overwatch.
Yeah.
And I looked up myself and I found Reddit threads, and it was like, the game's like free. Why do I have to have a phone plan to get this to work? Just to like get around some like anti-cheat thing. And people are like, well,
so retarded.
Are you cheating then? Oh, and then one of the guys, he had this whole Reddit thread, and he was like, I don't want to give Activision Blizzard my cell phone. And they're like, okay, are you like cheating or what? And he specifically stated in his first post, like, he's like, I don't cheat or anything. I just don't feel comfortable giving them my phone number. And they're like, you're probably cheating then. And he's like, no, I just don't want them to like start spamming my cell phone number with.
They're selling it to marketers.
It's like, yeah, well, that happens, but you've put your phone number other places that it's got stolen anyways, I'm sure. It's like that.
Yeah, that guy is a libertarian for sure. Yeah, I sort of get that, but I don't ultimately care about that. But the thing about like, oh, it's free to play, but you're making me have a cell phone plan. What if I can't afford it? It's like, by that logic, I mean, you need electricity to play a video game, right?
Exactly.
So like, you pay monthly for electricity. You pay and you've also spent how much money on everything you need to play a video game. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Like, this is too expensive. Even if it's a free to play game, you need a console, which is hundreds of dollars, and all the peripherals. So you need a monitor or a TV. You need a controller, or well, maybe it comes with a controller, whatever. You need speakers. The TV might come with them still, but You need all kinds of shit. You are spending a lot of money. If you're playing a video game at all, literally, if you're playing a video game not on a cell phone, you have a lot of money, and you're probably in the top 1% of wealthiest people on Earth. So don't get all fucking indignant about being required to have a cell phone plan or access to someone who does. Hey, maybe you don't have a cell phone plan. Have it texted to your fucking mommy, and then go upstairs and get the number once, put in the little code, and you never have to deal with it again. I wholesale reject the notion that it is unfair to require people to put in a cell phone number that works once to play a free-to-play game. You have plenty of money if you're playing fucking Warzone on a PC or a console. How dare you say that it's a bridge too far that you get a text message? This is so fucking dumb. Yeah. And if it's going to be an effective anti-cheat measure, then I am even more against this argument. It's like, okay, well then, hey, if you can't afford a cell phone plan, then you can't play, fuck you, and I'm fine with that. If it's going to get rid of cheaters, I would happily say, okay, then get fucked if you can't afford a cell phone, even though you can afford a fucking gaming computer to play this free-to-play game on. Yeah. Then, hey, get a fucking job, dude. It's not like you're, it's not like we're depriving people in Uganda of drinking water. This is absurd. So, yeah, I don't know. How effective it's going to be remains to be seen. I'm quite optimistic, though. This sounds like a really good idea. But to say it's unfair to require a cell phone plan for a free-to-play game, use your brain once.
So
I don't know.
This was the other argument that was pointed out by Tom Henderson in one of his Insider Gaming articles.
InsiderGaming.com.
He quoted a guy who tweeted at Overwatch, and the tweets kind of, made a little bit of headway here. But he said, I have 4 teenagers who enjoyed playing Overwatch together on their Switches. They played this way for well over a year and paid for the game with their own money, blah, blah. They were really excited about Overwatch 2, but due to the SMS number requirement, they can't play. We do not have the money for all 4 of my children to have their own unique cell phone numbers that can all receive SMS messages. So now basically he's saying... Actually. So his kids can't play the game. So that's what I'm saying. It's going to come down to something where like some SJW is like, this is not fair to this one specific person. And so you can't do this. Yeah. So I don't know.
That actually is a fair point though. Cause what if you're some guy with like 4 kids that are like 10?
Yep.
Cause you're not going to buy your kids cell phones. That's a good point actually.
And then someone did bring up to him, they were like, try setting up Google Voice or something like that. And he was like, try that. Prepaid and VoIP numbers do not work with this system, including Google Voice. You can't use one to enable your account to play Overwatch 2. So,
oh man.
See, it's things like that I'm saying that like will end up getting them in trouble from some SJW. That's like, this is not fair to this one specific like handicap person because of this reason. And so then they won't be able to use the whole system.
Well, that's actually a lot of people, because now that I think about it, I mean, kids have cell phones really young these days in general.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Absolutely.
But, I don't know. Again,
if you can afford 4 Switches for your kids, you can afford 4 shitty cell phones for it. You'll figure it out,
but are you going to buy them cell phones?
Don't have 4 kids if you can't afford them all, then I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Fuck your kids.
Okay. Okay.
Oddly enough, it was
makes me rethink
European
everything I just said.
It was. I think it was.
I don't know.
I think it was a UK lad actually. So yeah. But so there we go.
How it plays out. Yeah. My position is not as strong as it was because that's probably a lot of people like kids who don't have phone numbers. I think what I would do. I think would be a great middle ground. Require an on the Overwatch front. Require SMS verification only for ranked. I think that's a decent middle ground. So then your little fucking kids can still play pubs. But if you want to play ranked, we're going to do the good anti-cheat measure that's
actually a really good idea. Basically, when you sign up for the game, like your first time playing it, the screen pops up and it's like, link your phone number now. If you do not link this and set this up, you will not be able to launch and play ranked mode. You can't do it. You can play regular pubs,
I think that's
though.
A fair compromise.
That is
on
interesting.
The Overwatch front. Yeah. For Warzone though, I don't know how you would do it. I'd have to think about it more, but we'll see. I think whether or not you do it and disenfranchise the children with a lot of siblings is you see how effective it would be. Because if it's going to stop a ton of cheaters, then those kids can get fucked as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, yeah, they can get fucked for sure.
But if it's not really going to be that effective anyway, then you might as well not do it. I think that's kind of where I stand right now, but I'd have to think about it more now.
Don't play video games if you're that young. Go skateboarding or ride a scooter.
Go do your fucking homework.
Do your homework. Yeah, do that. Little Billy boy. So next on here, Modern Warfare 2 beta recap in terms of the anti-cheat. The benefit of a pre-release beta is being able to test new methodologies and systems ahead of launch to see what is viable, as well as retain the full scope of Ricochet anti-cheat to keep our cards closer to our chests, like you were just saying pretty much. They definitely let cheats in so they could see how they work. Combating cheaters is an ebb and flow process. There's no simple solution to stop cheating from ever occurring. While only partial anti-cheat systems were developed for the free-to-play beta, the security team gained valuable learnings of what worked and what did not. Excellent. So bans and detection. Bans for MDO can be split into two categories: account that were removed prior to accessing the beta and accounts that were detected and removed during the beta. In prep for the beta, Ricochet banned over 60,000 illicit accounts, denying them access to the open beta. During the beta itself, over 20,000 bans were issued, ejecting cheaters from participation. We found that 72% of players detected to be cheating were actioned on before they ever played a single match. Oh, that's pretty good then. So that's saying 72% of people that had a cheat software running were banned before getting into a match even.
Oh, wow.
That's really good.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's very good. So our systems were able to detect and remove them from our ecosystem on average within 5 matches played outside of that. Questions about bans and kick. There were a small number of players who reported beta crashes and appeared to cause their accounts being permanently banned. Yes, this was an issue like day one of the PC beta. We have investigated this issue thoroughly and determined that crashing issues did not cause unjust bans. Oh. The game itself cannot trigger a ban. Additionally, our security and data engineers have confirmed there was not a bug possible which have allowed this to happen. Huh. So we'll have to go back and see you tweeted that out, because apparently maybe they were hacking and acting like they just got banned for no reason. Interesting. One system that did unjustly impact players is a system that kick, not ban, users out of matches for friendly fire, whether it's accidental or intentional. We appreciate how much of a team player our security systems are. This issue only persists for a short amount of time, blah, blah. Combating cheaters will continue to be an ongoing battle. That's pretty much it.
By the way, this is kind of, okay, there were a small number of players who reported beta crashes that appeared to cause their accounts to be permanently banned. Hey. Literally 100% of people who played the beta crashed if they played for an hour or longer. So if you're like, oh,
that's
my
true,
beta crashed and that's what caused me to be banned, it's like, okay,
you're right.
But every single person has crashed in the beta. So if you got banned and you crashed, probably just a coincidence, especially considering 100% of players have crashed in the beta.
That is true.
So it's that, what a silly argument that small number of players made. Because everyone crashed if you played like 5 matches or more.
I think what people said was happening though is their game would get a crash and immediately they would relaunch the game and be banned. So I think they were like, oh, it's because I crashed, it made it happen. Like it was like immediately you would relaunch the game. That's what I'm assuming. I would also think, oh shit, it's like I got some weird false ban. But yeah, apparently those people were cheating. Oh, cool. Good for them.
Yeah. By the way, the game itself cannot trigger a ban. Cringe. Let the game trigger the ban. I don't know why they have to not let this happen.
What do you mean?
This is what I think kernel level anti-cheats should do. They detect you clearly fucking walling, ban them instantly without your input.
No, that's what it is. They're saying that like the game, I think they're trying to basically say Modern Warfare cannot give a ban. It's their anti-cheat software that bans people. So it's saying like you crashing isn't related to that. These are automated bans. They're not okay, like manual.
I understand what you mean.
Not a manual ban
point.
team.
You're right. Yeah. Okay.
But anyway, so enough of that. We'll talk a little bit more about MDub in a second here, I think. Kind of. Let's get this one out of the way. The Fortune's Keep tournament for the Call of Duty League is taking place this weekend. Totally forgot about this. Haven't heard a goddamn thing about it. They didn't even make a blog post. They just said it all goes down this weekend live on Twitch. So October 15th and 16th starting at noon. The Call of Duty League Fortune's Keep $100,000 main stage tournament, they say.
Ooh.
I literally don't know if this is a LAN then or something. Maybe it is. Because I saw actually like Jukies and some people were traveling to LA. I figured they were just playing on setups. I didn't realize this was a LAN.
That's cool. That'll be fun to watch.
That is actually. If this is a LAN, I'm excited for it. I literally don't know. They haven't been putting out any info. Not even Raven have tweeted about this, and they're the ones
it's on Twitch because it's not a CDL event. I think that's why. I was gonna say, why isn't it on YouTube? But I think the YouTube deal is only for like the league itself, not for other things. So okay,
this will be interesting. If
cool.
this is actually a LAN, which I have no idea. If someone in chat knows, let us know right now if this is a LAN or not, because I haven't seen any other info.
I forgot about this completely too.
Yeah, that's dope if it's a LAN though. So that's cool. I'll for sure watch that though.
Yeah.
So next up, 1 week to go. Modern Warfare 2 campaign officially launches October 20th at 10 a.m. Pacific time. So it's not a night launch like the video game is. It's coming out at like the normal playlist update time. So next Thursday, 1 week from right now, at 10 a.m. Pacific, you will be able to play the campaign.
Holy fucking shit.
Holy shit, man. And on top of that, we're getting some rewards. Modern Warfare 2 campaign rewards. Earn during early access for a head start at launch. So the campaign offers a multitude of rewards that can be used in multiplayer and Spec Ops, as well as Warzone when the game launches later this year. They can be earned at any time by completing missions within the Modern Warfare 2 campaign. However, through campaign early access, which is a benefit of digitally pre-ordering the game, you can earn all of these campaign completion rewards before the full game is released. In other words, take advantage of campaign early access. All these campaign completion rewards will be available if you do multiplayer and Spec Ops the moment MW launches. So here's what you get. Not super exciting at all, but we'll show it to you here. Hold up my notes view.
Couple little things.
You
got some ops.
There we go. Okay, so we got some items here. We got some operators. Are these operators or operator skins?
These are operators themselves. Base operators.
But these okay, so these just aren't going to be unlocked on launch? I'm confused, because you could play as all these in the beta. Or maybe not as all these, but Nova.
Underneath, there's a little checklist, and I see right here, base operator, Nova.
Oh, okay.
Base operator,
so I guess you have to unlock these otherwise. That's cool. So you got 4 operators, Hutch, Chewy, Choi, Reyes, and Nova. You get a weapon blueprint, which is another M4 with a little red dot, little suppressor on there.
It's got a Protestant flag on it.
It's got that Sturm waffle grip on it that was popular in the beta. Sturm something. You get a cool little emblem that's not very cool. You get 60 minutes of double weapon XP, and you get a soap calling card. Wow. Hey, if I wasn't going to play the beta, that's definitely making me play it now, man. Holy shit.
There's more than that too, but it's all, I mean, it's what you would expect. It's just like trash.
It's nothing, which, you should get nothing.
You'll get a total of, it looks like 2 hours, 3 hours of double XP and double weapon XP as a grand total. You'll get some operators, you'll get some calling cards, and you'll get the weapon blueprint. So, I mean,
so that weapon blueprint you get when you complete the whole
Yes, that's the ultimate reward. Yeah. So if you finish the entire campaign, you get that. I wonder if once the game launches, you can no longer unlock these things, but I'm beginning to think finishing the campaign at any time will unlock all this stuff.
Yeah, I think they're just trying to say,
early,
so you basically day one, you can have a fully modded M4 that you can use, which we're also already getting another one because the Vault Edition. Hey, maybe don't make both of them M4s.
Yeah,
maybe this should have been something else, or the Vault Edition. I mean, it's cool. We get fully modified guns day one if you complete these, but it's like, okay, I would have liked an M4 and like a MP5 or something, I guess, but whatever.
Right. Yeah, not a big deal.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's cool.
It's a nice looking little gun, though. It's a little operator gun.
It's a gun for sure.
It's for sure a gun,
An ugly decal on it, but yeah, this is cool, I guess. I'm just excited for the campaign. I don't really, none of these rewards mean anything to me.
And you have a full week, too, to finish that campaign. The COD campaign is usually what, 8 to 10 hours of gameplay.
Probably something like that. Yeah,
Not a lot.
too much.
If you're a gamer, you'll have the campaign done by Thursday night, same day, if you play that much. I probably won't. We should actually try to have it finished by Saturday, though, since we're doing an ep on it, or
that
most
would be
of it
cool.
finished. But
yeah, we'll see how long
we
that
can.
takes,
We can finish if I feel like playing the campaign for that long. But MW 2019 campaign was very fun, and actually, I genuinely wanted to come back and play it. So hopefully, this is the same this year.
Yeah.
Next up here, wow. Another article from Tom Henderson, insider-gaming.com.
Oh, no, man.
Modern Warfare 2 to have paid campaign
Holy
DLC
shit.
in 2023.
Whoa.
Regular Call of Duty leaker, the Ghost of Hope, has reported that MW 2 will have campaign DLC that is scheduled to release in 2023. In response to these claims, Bloomberg's Jason Schreier, who has never been wrong about any leak ever, because he's not leaking, he actually has insider knowledge, has weighed in on the news, corroborating Hope's report. Next year, they'll be selling new stuff for MW 2 and expansions or something like that. Not sure exactly what it'll look like, but it'll have campaign stuff too, Jason said on Twitter. Insider Gaming, aka Tom Henderson, was also able to corroborate the claims last week that Activision is planning to release premium DLC for year 2, but at the time, campaign was not mentioned. Schreier had previously alluded to some sort of paid DLC coming out, with the free-to-play title coming in 2023. Insider Gaming understands his free-to-play title was almost certainly Warzone 2. Really? Huh. So now they're thinking that free-to-play title that was coming out next year is really just Warzone that we're getting, which comes out this year. So that was like that early leak that someone's like, oh, there's another title coming out in 2023. So maybe the DLC is all we're getting next year, and it's not some other big free-to-play anything like that had been rumored months ago.
Yes. However, okay, moving on. I'm going to read a little bit more of this article. A paid DLC, this is Tom's words, a paid DLC makes a ton of sense following Activision's rumored delay of Treyarch's next title, which is now scheduled to release in 24. Premium DLC offering would ensure that the lack of a premium title for 23 would be somewhat reimbursed. This is a point Tanner and I have been making since we got that news months ago. Insider Gaming understands that MW2's paid DLC would include a series of remastered multiplayer maps from past games. It's understood that this DLC would be huge in comparison to its free season content to ensure the justification of the DLC being paid. It is unclear if the campaign DLC offering will be a continuation of MW2 or if Activision plans to remaster MW3 from 2011 as they did with the MW2 campaign, the original one, 2009, which we got a couple months ago.
Yeah, that's what we had kind of talked about too, is them remastering the MW campaign to come back in 23.
So what I'm confused about is Ghost of Hope said that the DLC was going to be a multiplayer map pack.
He's saying it's both.
Okay. So now it's both,
or it's two
things?
DLCs, I'm not sure.
Okay. Is that so? Jason Schreier of Bloomberg corroborated Ghost of Hope's report. Next year they'll be selling new stuff for MW2 and expansion or something like that. Not sure exactly what it'll look like, but it'll have campaign stuff also. Interesting. What are your thoughts on this?
It's starting to make more sense for sure. If we're getting a bunch of remastered maps that are, I think as we already talked about, it'll be pretty apparent. If Season 1 comes around of Modern Warfare 2 and we get a remastered map like Shoot House or something from the last MW and no MW2 maps, and it's looking like, okay, this map pack coming out next year is maybe sort of likely. Season 2 rolls around and we still get 0 remastered maps from the original MW2, I think that's certainly absolutely telling us there's a major map pack coming the next year. The only thing is when do they launch it? Because if they wait until like October of next year, I think that's too late to even drop a map pack. I almost feel like something like this would have to launch in like March, April, May at the latest of next year.
Like
it just
season 2, season
if they
3,
wait
yeah.
until like the normal game launch time of the year, I feel like that's way too late to drop like extra campaign and multiplayer maps. I don't know. It would still bring people back for a period of time, but it's not as meaningful as if we get it in like March.
I know. I agree. And another thing I just don't understand. I feel the same way about this that I feel about the multiplayer map pack DLC, which isn't like officially confirmed as far as I understand.
No.
That and a campaign DLC, I just don't see. I don't know. I wish, and maybe I can look this up. How much money did MW2 campaign remastered make? Because I feel my thought is, I don't think DLC extra campaign missions is going to sell very much. I don't think it's going to make them very much money. And it's certainly not going to replace how much money they would get from selling just a new game, period.
No, of course, it's not going to replace it. Of course not.
So that, even this plus a map pack, I don't think would even come close. So I feel like there would still be way more DLC that they would have to release to make up for it. I don't know.
I mean, there's still the Call of Duty mobile thing that'll make them a ton of money.
That's true. That's
if Warzone mobile does come out next year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. So MW2 campaign remastered in the first month sold 3.4 million copies for $20. That's a lot of money. But you know, yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know what to think of this. I believe it. But again, here's the thing. Because when we originally heard there was going to be no COD 2023, we said, well, they're going to fill that money hole somehow. And I'm very excited to see what that is. Well, now I'm way fucking less excited. Because I don't really give a shit about extra campaign missions. And I don't really give a shit about a greatest of all time multiplayer map pack either. So this is just more disappointment for me, because I was hoping, however they filled the revenue hole for 23, would be something interesting, like a zombie standalone that doesn't justify a $60 box purchase, but maybe a $30 or $40 one. That would be cool. That's something I was hoping for, or something akin to that. But if instead they're going to fill that cash hole with a fucking map pack and some extra campaign missions, that really sucks.
Yeah.
Because I don't care about either of those things very much. But
I mean, I care about the maps, but again, if it comes out a year from now, I'll care about it far less.
Exactly, yeah. Even if it came out like, March of next year, that'll be cool. It's basically going to be this for me. Will it come out before I've gotten my mastery camo done? That's the extent to which I'm going to care.
Yeah,
I'm not going to be playing much multiplayer once I get that camo. I'll be on Warzone 2 or DMZ. Probably Warzone 2, though.
You know what would even line up with the COD League is if we get the map pack next year, because the COD League, you have to think, they're going to be playing this game for 2 years. Year 1, they're playing all of the base maps, and then year 2, to switch it up so they're not playing the same shit for 2 years, they drop this big map pack, and then they're playing a bunch of remastered maps for the COD League, which would start late next year.
That would be super hype to watch.
That would draw in a lot of hype for the COD League too, yeah. Because people would care about that. Point. Imagine the best Call of Duty maps of all time remastered being played in a competitive setting, league. All of them.
That would be fucking cool. That's actually
Grind,
super hype.
Crash, all of the big maps that people love. Or not Grind, that's the one I was thinking of. What's the BO4 map we really liked? Where mid was the fountain. Grind is good. That's not the one I was thinking.
Mid is the fountain?
Mid is the fountain.
Tell me more.
Mid is the fountain. Off to the side, there's that little broken building with 3 entrances. It was like our favorite map in BO4. God, why can I not think of the name? Slums.
Oh, Slums, of course.
Playing maps like Slums and shit in MZ22. Yeah, that could be
fucking map.
Very hype, exciting to watch. So we'll see how that plays out. That would kind of line up with that. But also, I don't think they actually care enough about the competitive league to make that the reason they're doing it. It would just be like a side thing, like, COD League gets to play all the brand new remastered maps for a year or two, which they would definitely appreciate too.
You know what, dude? I think you're actually really onto something, because it would be very weird for there to be a CDL season on a game, and then the next year they just run it back and everything's the same.
Yeah.
That would be really fucking weird. So this is actually that I think you're onto something. I really do, because I think they would want to change things up pretty substantially for the next season of CDL without designing a whole new game just for CDL, which obviously they're not doing. So if they wanted to do something like that, having all the maps be different, but it be on the same game makes a ton of sense. And it would be super cool to watch. If you've been a CDL fan for a while, and then the next year the league is all fucking banger OG maps, you get that nostalgia hit. The CDL players themselves get a bunch of nostalgia. The CDL players themselves get happy about that because they like the maps, and then they drum up more hype for you on the TL, talking about how excited they are or whatever.
Exactly.
That's a lot. It makes a lot of sense for them to do that, especially if they're going to be selling it to the player base anyway. They can kill two birds with one stone, get more viewers, get more advertiser money for their CDL events, and sell the maps to us at the same time. That's a lot of potential cash. So I think you're right. I bet you that's what they're going to do. So I bet you we get the maps, if we're going to, fairly late. Yeah. I bet you we get it like holiday season next year.
Well, because also COD League is starting earlier this year. I believe it's starting November, the end of November. And I want to say COD League doesn't usually start until January. So that could also line up with the schedule of when the map pack would drop if it drops a little bit earlier next year. Which is why the season's starting earlier, than the season would end earlier, and then they'd go into season 2 after a little break with new maps or something. So yeah, but definitely if they're doing it that way, it would be in the second half of next year at some point.
Yeah, and then maybe they would sell the premium DLC related to campaign earlier, like in March of 23. Because there
should be two different DLCs. I agree. They shouldn't bundle it as one, I don't think.
It would be. Yeah, I think it would be two DLCs. They'd make more money that way, so that's how they would do it, I think. And also, by the way, when they're talking about the campaign DLC, there was an allusion to that being MW3 campaign remastered. That it could be that, but they could also just add more missions to the MW2 game. I mean, that's also totally possible. It's not a foregone conclusion that campaign DLC is necessarily MW3 campaign remastered, and they could do both. So they could have one DLC pack be more MW2 campaign missions, for example, and then in a couple months later, they do a separate sale on MW3 campaign remastered.
Yeah.
So there could be multiple forms of campaign DLC. It doesn't have to just be one thing or the other necessarily. Could be both, could be just one, but it could not be MW3 campaign remastered. Although I think it's safe to assume they will do that. If they made a lot of money doing it for MW2 campaign, why wouldn't they do it? They're already obviously willing to remaster a campaign since they did. So that's something to keep in mind. Another thing Jax just said in chat, thank you for reminding me. Didn't Tom hint at zombies related? So, if you're a relatively new listener, we did have the owner and founder of insider-gaming.com, renowned leaker, insider, demon, friend of the pod, Thomas J. Henderson, Tom Henderson, on the podcast for an episode a couple months ago. You can just search Tom Henderson on our YouTube or just look through our podcast episodes. We had him on. And one thing I asked him was related to this exact thing. And I said, if they're not selling a game in 2023, they're going to fill that revenue somehow. They're going to make that revenue in some other way. How will they make that? And he was cagey about it, which is fine. And then I asked him, do you think, or do you have knowledge that the way they're going to fill the revenue hole for 2023 would be with something zombies related, maybe a zombie standalone or something? And then he said no comment, which was interesting. So no comment does not confirm that there's going to be something zombies related for 2023, but it's not a denial either. And he could have said a lot of things. He could have said, to my knowledge, no. He could have said, I haven't heard anything about that. He could have said, absolutely not. But he said no comment, which could mean anything. So Zombies DLC is definitely not off the table as well. And like Tanner said, I think this is a point worth keeping in mind. Just because normally they make almost all their revenue on one title, on one thing, does not mean that if they don't release a game, they're just going to sell one other thing that's really big that makes them a ton of money to fill that hole. Because they don't mind. It's totally feasible and in fact likely that instead of one game to make a bunch of money, they sell 12 different DLCs to make that money. And I think that is ultimately what we're going to see. We'll see campaign remaster, campaign missions, remaster map pack, a zombies standalone, or zombies DLC specifically for MW2. I think this is arguably the most likely, where they design a zombies experience that is played through the MW2 client, but you have to purchase it to be able to play it. But it's played through the MW2 engine on the MW2 client. That would make it fairly simple for them, and they could still justify selling that. I think that is actually fairly likely, because they're going to probably want to sell a lot of little DLC packages to be able to make up for the loss in revenue that not selling a game entails. So, zombies is definitely still on the table, in my opinion, as well.
I just feel like we would have got more concrete leaks or something about it by now, and we still just haven't. So it seems less and less likely when we haven't heard anything about it. I would imagine something like that would have been leaked by now.
I kind of agree with you, but also we didn't get a Warzone 1 leak until like a week or two before it was announced or launched or something. Like that leak, they kept a really fucking tight lid on, and that was a really big deal. So
yeah,
we do know they're capable of containing leaks. And this is another thing that Tom talked about when we had him on the pod. He said a lot of these leaks, Activision's probably fine with and maybe even encourages to drum up more publicity for their game and their enterprises. They just kind of know things will leak if they do this certain thing, and they do it on purpose. Because, again, they kept a very tight lid on Warzone 1 way later, way closer to launch than we ever would have expected something that big to be revealed. Like, they kept a way tighter lid on that for way longer than we would expect for something that big, you know? So they could do it with zombies, I think. But yeah, maybe you're right. I don't know. It's all in the air. It's all in the air.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's a lot of zombies players who would spend a lot of money, and if they want to make money to fill the hole, I think zombies is a really good thing to look at, and it would be kind of weird for them to just not do that, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I don't know. They haven't cared too much about the zombie community for some while now, it seems, so.
Well, that's a good
pretty
point.
Unsurprising.
Cold War was the last good zombies experience, yeah.
Because the zombies players are a very small group of players, but they're pretty vocal about it. But when you look at how many people main zombies, I'm sure the number is very, very low, so they don't care too much about that. But I don't know. Something even honestly like a campaign remaster or more like another campaign to MW22, I think literally would sell better than zombies, actually.
I'm not sure. I have no idea what proportion of
I would
COD
rather
players
play
like
zombies, but it just doesn't seem to really be very high. But the other thing is, by the time this campaign finishes, by the time we beat the campaign, I think we'll have some sense if there's a chance that there's another campaign DLC for this Modern Warfare coming out next year. Either it'll end on an obvious cliffhanger that's like, oh, well, there's absolutely going to be a DLC next year, or there will be some character that like they don't finish off and tie up all the loose ends, and they won't make it as obvious, but it can make sense like, oh, I wonder whatever happened with that character, and then there ends up being a DLC next year where you then play as that or something.
Yes, but they could also do that just for their 2024 title.
Yeah, but they usually don't, I don't think. They don't usually use it on like a big cliffhanger like that.
Maybe not.
I don't think MDO 2019 did. I don't remember that at all, but
I think Cold War ended that way.
I didn't play the Cold War campaign, but I'm thinking more like IW.
There's like a gunshot and you're not sure who shot who. I think that's how Cold War campaign ends.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe you're right.
I don't even know if I ever launched the Cold War campaign. If you're listening to this podcast, you probably enjoy Warzone and are excited about Warzone 2, and so many of you are into fantasy sports. Now you can combine those two things courtesy of our friends at Kolosseum. Kolosseum is a Warzone fantasy league that takes popular Warzone streamers and lets you form a team every single week of up to 6 streamers while having to remain under a set salary cap. The prices of streamers change weekly, so it's up to you to decide how to build the best possible team. You can all enter the Friday freebie contest every week for free. Free, yes. $150 weekly prize pool just by making an account and picking your ultimate Warzone team. It's that easy. The prize pool starts at $75 and increases by $5 up to a max of $150 every single week. You earn fantasy points based off your team's kills and wins. The stats of all streamers are updated automatically during the contest, which runs from Friday to Sunday. Wins and kills during that time span will grant you points as you face off against others in the fantasy league. You can track it all live on your Kolosseum account. Here's how you're going to play. Go to Kolosseum, that's KOLOSSEUM.co. Use code DROPSHOT during signup and start winning cash in their Friday freebie league. I just set my team for this weekend. Why don't you try to sign up? We'll see how we stack up. I'm probably better than you, but you can try. And if you're having trouble picking your squad, don't worry. Each player's total wins, top 5 finishes, score per minute, and more are all listed on the Kolosseum website during your team selection. It's time to get more from Warzone streaming. Enter Kolosseum's free fantasy Warzone contest and win when your favorite streamers win. Build your dream squad now at Kolosseum.co. All right, next up here, another little rumor leak from Charlie Intel from Ghost of Hope. New rumors now are that Treyarch's Call of Duty 2024 game will get 2 years of launch support, post-launch support. Now that I read this, actually, I don't know what this means. Because they said, Cold War had post-launch support longer than a year or two. Remember they had talked about that, saying like,
yes.
Oh yeah, Cold War is going to be like the most supported game.
Yeah.
After MDub comes out. So this may just mean that now that I think about it. But he's definitely insinuating it's going to be a 2-year life cycle. But now after thinking about it, I don't know if that makes any sense at all.
It does make sense.
It makes sense, but I don't know if that's not what I was originally thinking when I read this. It very well could be. It's just still going to be supported, even though it has a 1-year life cycle.
Exactly. So 2 years of post-launch support could mean that there won't be a COD 25. It could also not mean that, and there will be a COD 25, and COD 24 will still get 2 years of post-launch support. Those are both possible. I would find it more likely, though, that we're just moving to a 2-year Call of Duty cycle in general. Probably.
I agree. And I do think Treyarch absolutely deserves it. They should get a 2-year game where they've also had a full 3-year life cycle to work on their game, because they did not have that for Cold War. Cold War I thought was a terrible game, but I did say that many times that it's not Treyarch's fault. Sledgehammer was originally developing that game, and then Activision, frankly, wasn't happy with how it was going, and they told them to fuck off, and they had Treyarch take over development on whatever they were working on and basically turn it into their own game. So Treyarch did not have a full 3 years to develop Cold War. If I'm not mistaken, it was more like a 1.5-year life cycle for them to launch that game, wasn't it? It was not very long.
Not long.
I do think they deserve a proper launch where they've had 3 years to work on the game and a full 2 years of support to really give them a chance. Because, it might, visually and in so many ways, Cold War is literally a step back from even BO4. The game literally looked worse than BO4. It's obvious they did not have the full development time to put into polishing that video game. It felt clunky. None of it felt rewarding. Just a lot of things like that. It just felt off with the game, and it didn't feel like a full Call of Duty release, and it never did, and it felt more like a free-to-play shooter. So I do think they should get the chance to have a full 2-year development cycle, although I am worried about their their post-launch support based on how they usually balance weapons and things like that. We could be in for 2 years of a really broken LMG or something pretty annoying.
Yeah.
But they deserve the chance, especially since Infinity Ward's doing it and because they got screwed over when it comes to Cold War.
The good news is that they won't make the same mistake with snipers again. Because they even... Well, I don't think they would, because they released them with no flinch, and then they changed it. So that would imply they wouldn't release it with no flinch next time. LMGs, though, yeah. I don't know how... I don't know. That it's fucking crazy. Are LMGs banned in CDL? I think they are, right? That could be part of the problem. You need to allow LMGs into CDL so that you balance them for pubs a little more. But anyway, I could see this going either way in terms of 2-year life cycle, but I think that's the most interesting thing about this. I don't really care if COD 24 gets 2 years of post-launch support if there's going to be a 25 title. Because as soon as the new COD comes out, I'm done with the old one. And if it's going to get support for another year while I'm playing the next game, I couldn't give less of a fuck. But obviously, it will require 2 years of support if it's going to be the latest premium title for 2 years. So whether or not we are switching to a permanent premium title 2-year life cycle, I think it is more likely than not that is what will end up happening. But also, I would add, it's probably going to depend on how MW2 does for the next 2 years in terms of revenue. Because they're ultimately going to do what they can get the most, what's going to make them the most money. So if moving to this 2-year life cycle is very profitable for them, for MW2, then I think they will just continue doing that into the indefinitely. And this would not be for Call of Duty, this would be new, obviously, but for video games in general, this would still be frequent releases. Halo got a new game like every 3 years, and I think most iterative games, it's usually every 3 years that the next one comes out. So even if it went to every 2 years, that would still be more releases within a series than most. So I think that would be fine. And I think they are totally willing to do that if they're making a lot of money doing it. But if they really miss out on selling a COD every single year and 23 makes them way less money than they would have made just releasing another shitty premium title, I think they would go back to every year. I think they would have the flexibility to be able to do that. I think they would be able to. Because they're willing, and look at Cold War, they're willing to change their plans on a dime to get things done. They did not plan on Treyarch being the Cold War dev, but they were willing to do it. And they did not give Treyarch enough time when they made that decision. But they were willing to, turn on a dime, essentially, their whole kind of strategy. So I think it's possible they go to 2 years. I think it's possible they stay on 1. I don't really care either way. Depends on how well... Well, I'm going to care... How much I care is going to depend on how well MW2 does. And if it can capture and keep my attention for 2 years. That's what it's going to depend on.
It won't. No matter how good it is, it won't.
Well, not multiplayer won't, no. Yeah. But I mean, in terms of like all the DLC shit they're going to sell.
Yeah. Yep.
If Call of Duty in general can keep my attention for 2 years, we'll say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll have to see about that. But yeah, Treyarch, I think, deserves a 2-year life cycle to, fully...
I mean, BO4 was super fun. So yeah, if they got like their proper amount of time and they could put in as much effort as they did to like BO4 and then just not add operator abilities, that game would be really fucking fun and good. Yeah. So yeah, I'm with you. I agree. I really like Treyarch. Cold War was a miss. But yeah.
So next up here, onto the Microsoft acquisition of Activision Blizzard. This is from Charlie Intel. There's some legal shit that's been going on in the UK. So Microsoft tells UK regulatory that Call of Duty's largest player base is on PlayStation and reiterates it has no intention of taking COD away from the PlayStation if Activision Blizzard deal is approved. They also state taking away COD would tarnish the Xbox and COD brand. So let's see. They have publicly committed not to do. The value of Call of Duty depends on its community of gamers, the majority of whom are on PlayStation. Keeping COD on PlayStation, therefore, is a commercial imperative for the Xbox business and the economics of the transaction. As such, Microsoft has offered Sony a contractual commitment to continue supplying it with Call of Duty, including new releases with features and content parity. And then going on to...
Yeah. What I was going to say is... I believe this, but also if they mean it, they should put it in writing in a contract, and that's what they're doing. So yeah, okay, that makes sense. I was going to say it's a little dubious they're not willing to sign a contract to that effect. Like we promised if we're making COD games to also put them on PlayStation for 10 years or something.
Yeah.
But if they are going to do that, then yeah, okay, got it.
Agreed.
Sorry. Yeah.
So next little part here, Microsoft also says Sony has double the player base of Xbox currently, and that if Microsoft were to remove COD from PlayStation, Sony would still have the largest console player base. I did not realize it was that big of a difference. Sony PlayStation has been the largest console platform for over 20 years with an installed base of over 150 million consoles, making it larger than Nintendo and more than double the size of Xbox.
Wow.
I didn't, like growing up when we were like middle school and stuff, arguing over which console was better, it seemed to be, based on everyone I knew, it was like a 50-50 split of Xbox and PC owners. I didn't realize PlayStation and Xbox owners. I didn't realize PlayStation has always had such a larger player base. It never really seemed that way to me. And even now, more than double the player base in Call of Duty as Xbox. I had no idea.
I do remember when we were kids, it did seem fairly even, although PlayStation did always seem like more popular. But it was literally only Halo that like anyone had Xboxes.
You're right. That was literally why people bought Xboxes back then.
That's
was
why
to play.
I bought an Xbox.
There was like one other
game
game people would play, like a single player game, I think, that was only on Xbox. What was another big Xbox exclusive? Because people would, for PlayStation, they would play like God of War. I remember that was a big one. I want to say there was some other large exclusive though next to Halo that was a lot of people bought Xboxes for. Yeah, was that interesting back then? I don't know. Back then, like a lot of people would also own both consoles actually, which I feel like, well, it's definitely not the case now because you really don't need to because cross play and everything, cross platform. But back then, there was decent amount of people I knew that owned a PlayStation and an Xbox. I never had that, of course, but
I didn't go to private school, so I didn't know anyone. But actually, one guy. But anyway.
Yeah, well, you're broke, so broke bitch.
Get your money up, yeah, for sure.
All right, so that's pretty much it. One last little thing here, though. So TwitchCon was this last weekend. So it was basically a bunch of super nerds hanging out in real life, trying to talk to each other. They give you a little goodie bag when you get to TwitchCon. They actually included cologne or deodorant this year. I'm not kidding. They gave you one of them. I think it was spray-on cologne they gave everyone in the bag.
And that's, yeah.
That would almost be worse. A bunch of disgusting guys who haven't showered walking around with spray-on cologne. I'd almost rather it just be filled with BO. I think that may genuinely be worse. But, hey, I'm glad they tried. Maybe throw some Tic Tacs or something in there, some mints. I, of course, did not go. TwitchCon, it was only an hour and 15, hour and a half drive from us, but I didn't go, of course. So they have events there. There's things to do. There was actually a Modern Warfare 2 little open tournament going on at the Intel booth where you could play on PC. It was KBAM only. I saw some people molding about that. Like, well, they don't even have controllers. It's like, shut up. You get to play the game for probably 10 minutes. Get over it.
Yeah,
it's just to show off their game. Of course, they're not going to give you the option of, oh, do you want to scuff? You want to battle beaver? You want to fucking,
I know.
Which do you want a PlayStation controller or an Xbox controller? No. Just use the goddamn...
Blinds, set your dead zone.
Exactly. So anyways, there were some events. Another one included a lovely little foam pit that was designed by someone. So you guys...
A Twitch worker, for sure.
Yeah, so you guys have probably been to those like trampoline parks. I've been to one recently with... well, it wasn't recently. It was probably 5+ years ago. Who did I go to? Oh, someone Sierra's kids used to babysit every once in a while. We would go to a trampoline park. Went there like 2 times. So you know, jump off the trampoline, jump into these massive foam pits that are like... It's probably 3 or 4 feet of foam squares. It's thick. And then at the bottom of that is like another It's not
Like
concrete.
pad.
It's like pad and shit. So you can jump in. It was literally impossible to get hurt. You could be 400 pounds and jump on that thing, and you'd be completely fine. Yeah. So Twitchcon set up one of these, and some people got hurt on it. So it started with Dexerto, who owns Charlie Intel now.
Intel. Yeah.
Tweeted out a little tweet about a porn star turned streamer, Adriana Chechnik. Chechik. I don't know who she is. Apparently she was a pretty famous porn star, though. I've heard of her before this incident. I've heard people talk about her, but she's a streamer now, of course. And so she was there. There's like this little, so there's this foam pit where like you basically stand on these two things. And I think you were fighting each other with like swords or, some dumb shit where you're trying to knock each other off the other little podium. And then you fall into the foam pit after. So she wins, and then she decides to jump into the pit. Doesn't end very well. She hits the foam and immediately like, oh, and she like rolls over and she's like, oh, and she's like trying to laugh it off. Like you can tell she's in pain though. She couldn't get up for like 20, 30 seconds. A TwitchCon worker like came over and tried to like help her. So Dexerto tweeted out something like, oh, she's used to getting her back blown out, but not in this way. Well, turns out
like that.
She literally broke her back. So of course, once they figured out she was hurt, why do I keep saying it wrong? Dexerto. It's such a dumb word. Don't name it Dexerto.
Yeah.
So they then deleted that tweet, of course, because she was genuinely hurt. Turns out this young woman broke her back at the foam pit at TwitchCon. Yes. And it has now since come out that numerous people got hurt on this. There were smaller streamers that then started commenting on her tweets and Jake Lucky's tweets. And they were like, this is also my friend. She broke her ankle on the same. There were like 3 or 4 people that literally broke things, broke their ankle, broke their foot. So she broke her back, which is obviously terrible. So she's tweeted out some things since. Surgery went well, 5 hours and 30 minutes. More fusions than expected. Bones completely crushed and nerve damage to my bladder. Hopefully I'll be able to pee again in the near future.
So quickly on this too, like my dad broke his neck also. And when you hear someone broke their neck or someone broke their back, you think that a lot of people probably think, or maybe not, but some people probably think that you automatically also become a like quadriplegic or paraplegic. That is not true, but very often when you break your back or you break your neck, you become paralyzed. And the way that happens, and I only know this because my dad broke his neck, the way that happens is when you break a vertebrae, pieces of the bone fly forward, like towards your mouth, and slice your fucking spinal cord at some area, and then nerves can't be sent down your body. So if you like break your lower back and it severs your spinal cord at that region, you might lose, control of things like waist below or whatever. There's a map you can look at, like if I break this, what happens? And if you break your neck and you sever your spinal cord, you're either a quadriplegic if it's one of the lower ones, or you just die because you can't even send signals to your lungs to breathe, and then you stop living. So that happens a lot because your spinal cord is apparently very easy to fuck up in this way. Yeah. But it doesn't always happen. So just because she broke her back does not mean she's paralyzed now. Although that can happen often. But it looks like she is not paralyzed, which I'm very happy for her because that's not good. But she does have nerve damage.
Yes.
Because her spinal cord got involved. It just didn't get severed, thank God. But that's fucking... Either, no matter what, dude, that fucking sucks. My dad was in a Halo vest for 6 months when he broke his neck.
How did he break it?
Diving. We had a 4th of July party. We used to have a diving board. We now don't.
Diving boards are illegal in California now, actually.
They're illegal in California. Unrelated. We took out the diving board because it like rotted out. We're not fucking liberals. But anyway, he dove off the diving board, dove into our pool. He jumped a little too far, got a little too shallow, and then he just like his head, just like the top of his head, just right into the bottom.
Ugh.
And then it like compressed, and he broke 2 vertebrae, I think, 1 or 2 vertebrae. But his spinal cord is also fine. But his doctor was like, "Yeah, you had like a 90% chance of just dying on the spot, like you're super lucky. But then, yeah, they put him in a Halo vest. And for those of you who don't know, you go in for surgery. They literally take metal screws and screw them into your forehead like this to keep it in place. He still has the 2 scars. And then they like strap that to a vest. So you literally cannot move your neck no matter how hard you try. This is so you can sleep. Because if you like turn your neck when your neck is broken, he could have just like died before he went to the hospital. That's why they put you in a Halo
Did he
vest.
just
So
like
anyway,
pass out in the water and someone had to grab him?
no, he didn't pass out at all. He was fine. I mean, relatively. He like got up and was like fucking around or whatever, but he was like, that hurt a lot and this feels weird. And then he was trying to go to sleep that night and he was like, I can't, something's like actually wrong. I need to go to the hospital. So he did. And then they, did all the things. It's crazy. So he got super lucky and she did too, frankly, because it's pretty fucking easy to fuck up your spinal cord, but it's not a guarantee. So if you guys thought that, then that's how that works. I don't know.
So I
don't know if that was common knowledge or not, but
it's hard to tell from the pictures too, but from the pictures I saw, this foam pit like literally looked like it was less than 2 feet off the ground. So it's like she landed
like blocks of foam on concrete. Yeah, it's actually insane.
And if you're gonna make that, I feel like that needs to be at minimum probably 3.5, 4 feet deep. Because I don't know. I mean, it didn't look like, it looks like she just landed on the foam and then all of a sudden she was hurting. So obviously the concrete was right there and she hit it that close to it. So it was not deep at all. These tiny little foam squares. So I just want to say I find it odd no one from any of the convention center, the booth, or Twitch has even had well wishes or said anything. I get not talking about it publicly incident-wise, but saying no nice words to me so far is kind of fucked up. I wouldn't expect them to say anything publicly. They're essentially admitting fault at that point. And then someone's like, they're scared that you'll sue them, hope your recovery goes well. Said, yep, as I should. I can't pee without a catheter, and I'm not sure if the nerves will ever heal to where I can. That's
fucking so cringe, dude. Yep. Fuck.
So TLDR, Twitch will absolutely have a lawsuit on their hands. Since numerous people got injured, they will be getting sued. And they will lose.
Jake Lucky also, by the way, tweeted a couple hours after this incident, I believe, who is, I don't know what he is. I follow him on Twitter. He's like he like tweets about all the drama on
the internet. He's a drama frog, yeah.
He's like a drama frog.
He's like a esports news, online news, gaming.
He's not
YouTuber.
Cringe like Keemstar as far as I know, though. He's not that kind of drama frog. He like kind of covers it. He's like, I don't know. Whatever.
It's less opinion, as Keemstar is all opinion and little fact. Yeah. His is mostly fact and some opinion.
He's a very popular figure, and he has a Twitter account that has a lot of followers, and he tweeted, hey, if you got hurt at TwitchCon, DM me. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. If you got hurt at Twitch, DM me. So that sounds to me like class action fucking lawsuit, baby.
Yep.
Twitch is absolutely going to get sued, and they deserve to. Yeah. This is completely insane. And it is, sadly, it's woefully unsurprising that TwitchCon was a fucking disaster. There were other like issues with TwitchCon, by the way, not just the foam pit. There were other things that were less of a big deal, but still a fairly big deal. I saw a list someone tweeted out of all the dumb shit TwitchCon did, or how poorly run the event was. None of it was this serious, obviously, luckily, but it was not run well at all, which is so unsurprising to me. Because look at their website. Their website isn't run well either. We've talked shit about Twitch for a very long time. And it is not surprising to me in the slightest that this event was also a fucking disaster. They will be getting sued. And even before all of this, Twitch was operating at a loss for years now. They are subsidized by Amazon. And I think the reason they keep subsidizing the website is to keep all the users that are on it here. And eventually they want to make the website profitable, but they have a huge market share in video game live streaming. They don't want to lose that. So Amazon's willing to operate the website at a loss to keep all those viewers on their website and not going to Facebook or YouTube or whatever. But now it's going to be an even less profitable website for Amazon next year. And I would not be surprised if they fucking wash their hands of this godforsaken platform. So if you're thinking of streaming, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Don't start on Twitch. Start on YouTube. YouTube's only getting better and Twitch is only getting worse. And Amazon might say, fuck this company after this lawsuit is finished with. But there will be one, 100%. There's a 0% chance there won't be a lawsuit. And this is one such case where they deserve to be sued. Yeah. Like, don't have a foam pit that very obviously implies you can, jump into it. It's not like she fucking swan dove neck first, like my father, dumb shit, did into the foam pit. She like jumped in the air and then like sat down on her butt into the foam pit. Like that, it's very reasonable to assume you're going to be safe doing that. So I think she has grounds, and I hope they get sued, and they will. So
yeah, they absolutely will. Goes. And there's been a lot of people saying too, like, oh, well, like you had to sign waivers before you did it. It doesn't matter. It's not going to hold up. They're still going to get sued from some chick who broke her back. Waivers, it's not really a legal document. It doesn't mean anything.
It kind of is. It helps. Like you sign a waiver. So like when I did jiu-jitsu, for example, part of the contract when you get a membership, actually even before you sign up, if you just take a trial class, first thing he has you do, and every martial arts place does this, is like, all right, if your arm gets broken, like today, it's not our fault. And then if my arm got broken and I sued, I would lose because I signed that document. Because it's reasonable to expect you can break your arm in jiu-jitsu. But if I signed that document and then there was like a Vietnamese, like Viet Cong style spike trap in front of the bathroom, and I stepped on that and then was impaled, then the waiver doesn't help, because it wouldn't be reasonable for me to be injured in that way, even despite signing the waiver. So the waivers can help. There's a reason for them. But this goes above and beyond, I think, what any waiver would indicate. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So they're going to get sued for sure.
They're going to get sued for a lot of money, and deservedly so. So
yeah. So
that's all I got.
Wishes to Adriana Chechik. Sex work is real work. That sucks. Dude, if she can never pee again without a fucking catheter.
Yeah.
That's so sad, dude. That's so fucked.
Yeah.
And there's a video clip of her breaking her back, by the way. You can go watch it.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Type in her name on Twitter
and then made a joke about.
Make sure you're not at work when you do it, but you could type in her name on Twitter and you can find a clip. It's like it was part of their like broadcast. So you see her jump, you see her land on her butt, and then you see her just writhe in pain. So yeah, poor girl. Sucks. But I didn't know other people. Some other girl broke her ankle too. That's crazy.
Oh yeah, there are numerous people that got hurt.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
Yeah. Jesus.
I mean, they were just like small little people that were attending. No one else that was big, but yeah, there were numerous pictures of people injured and hurt in hospitals, or like sitting. There was a picture of one girl sitting at a chair, and it was like her friend that posted it. She said, "My friend broke her ankle," and she was sitting at a chair like at Twitchcon, still like crying, like holding her foot or something. Yeah. Great job, Twitch. Really did a great job there. Fuck you.
Good work. Yeah. So anyway, there you go. So other than that, best wishes to everyone everyone injured at Twitch. I'd be so mad. I would be so fucking mad if I was her, dude. I wouldn't even be able to contain my rage. It's like, I can't imagine how angry I'd be. But anyway, other than that, anything else
TwitchCon again
you want to talk about?
Everyone that went also has COVID now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Actually?
Oh, God, so many people.
Oh, of course.
Every streamer I follow that went is like, fuck, I'm not feeling good. And now they all have
That
COVID.
Is not TwitchCon's fault,
pretty disgusting. There shouldn't be any public events anywhere in the world with more than 10 people in one sitting if there are even 5 positive cases of COVID-19 in the world. It's just wrong.
Earth.
It's just wrong, man. It's disgusting, and you're literally killing people. Fuck
There's
you.
a lot of COVID drama on the TL. I guess Pfizer published some document.
Yeah, I keep seeing that too. That like oh, shocking.
But
I didn't either. I just keep seeing all like the super right wingers. They keep getting recommended to me on Twitter. I'm like, dude, I don't want to see any of this shit. I don't care. Twitter's been really annoying lately. Have you been getting like a bunch of like recommended tweets? I swear I get more like recommended tweets than I do my regular feed, and it's pissing me off.
I don't know about. I get a number of them. Yeah.
Oh, it's fucking annoying, man.
I don't know.
Please let Elon buy Twitter.
Shout out to Elon. So anyway, other than that, that is it for us. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Sorry for the technical difficulties. So reminder, this Saturday, we are doing Warzone, a year in review. It's going to be a special edition episode. It's going to be fan-fucking-tastic. Make sure you watch it. Go to dropshot.com/live, Saturday, 12 p.m. Pacific. This will also obviously be on podcast apps and all that good stuff. Patreon.com/thedropshot is the best way to support the show. You can get early access to every episode without ads. You can also get bonus episodes every single month, up to 5, and other goodies. Check it out. It's the best way to support the program. Once again, patreon.com/thedropshot. That is it. Thank you all for watching and listening. Have an excellent evening, of course. Sub to the YouTube. We're doing our first ever YouTube podcast on Saturday the 29th for our first impressions of MW2. Have an excellent evening. And as always, remember, stay humble.
Stay humble.